on a dependency matter that was initiated last Friday, which was March 31st, when I granted ex parte emergency custody of the children to Henry Defax. This hearing is being conducted virtually over the internet using Zoom, in addition to the attorney for Defax, Mr. Skravanik, and their case manager, Ms. Adikpo, and supervisor, Ms. Henley Parks. We have the attorney and guardian ad litem appointed for the children, Ms. Miller. Both of the children, Jeffrey and Callista, are here. They're temporarily staying with their maternal aunt, Ms. Ike Blosser, who's here. The attorney assigned to represent the mother, Ms. Crane, is here, and the mother, Catherine Johnston, is here. Let me get the mom, Ms. Ike Blosser, and Ms. Adikpo, and the kids. If all of you, you may or may not need to tell me anything or be asked anything, but just in case, everybody will be under oath. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony and evidence you're giving in the matter will be the truth, the whole truth?
Yes.
Mom, you need to unmute your mic so we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, and you take.
Sorry.
Okay, all right, you can take your hands down. Mr. Skravanik, you may proceed for the petitioner.
Your Honor, it's my understanding from Ms. Crane before we went on the record that her client is stipulating that there is probable cause to believe that the children are dependent children based on the allegations set forth in the complaint that was filed in this matter, that reasonable efforts were made to avoid removal, that it would be currently contrary to the welfare of the children to be returned to the custody of the mother, and that temporary custody of the children should remain with the department pending the filing of a petition and the setting of an adjudicatory hearing in this matter. And I do have a couple of questions for Ms. Johnson, but if the court wants to inquire as to that stipulation first, then I'll just defer that for a second.
Is that the stipulation?
That is the stipulation, Your Honor.
All right, and you understand, Ms. Johnson, what the significance of a stipulation is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll accept the stipulation. Is the department's plan for the children to stay with the aunt?
I don't, Your Honor, we may want to discuss that outside of the presence of the children. I'm not sure as to whether or not Ms. Park and or Ms. Odikpo have had that conversation with them yet.
Well, you don't have to have it with me necessarily, but I asked that as a preface to the instructions I was getting ready to give the mother. Ms. Johnston, anytime we have a case like this happen, the law prescribes or tells us that I have to make sure that Defax is making diligent efforts to locate any family members for possible placement. Even though they're currently with a family member, we still have to go through that procedure, and they have to give me a written report of all the relatives that they find. And in connection with their search for relatives, I order parents and you, since you're to cooperate with that and provide them with the names and addresses and contact information for any relatives related by blood or marriage to the kids that might need to be contacted for possible placement. Okay?
Okay.
So I understand we have a relative that was kind enough to open their home, Ms. Ike Blosser, and but we still look for other relatives just in case. Sometimes things change and people are no longer available, just any number of reasons. So we like to have backups lined up, and we try to minimize the number of placements that kids have to take. Okay, so they will owe me a report 30 days from today. So you can go ahead and be going through your address book and wherever you keep that kind of information so that you can share that with Ms. Adikpo when she comes to you. She may have already started asking you about that, but I've jogged her memory to make sure she gets me that report. Okay.
Okay.
You will get some paperwork. Are you still going to be at 203?
Probably not, no. I'm in the process of trying to find somewhere now. And hopefully it'll be soon.
Okay, well,
I'm ready to be out of this house.
the sheriff is going to need to bring you some papers because we'll have another hearing in about 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And you'll get notice of that paper. You can call your lawyer and she'll know when we set the hearing. It's not set yet, but when it's set, she'll know. But for us to have jurisdiction over you to have the next set of hearings, the sheriff's office needs to hand you those papers. It's kind of like a lawsuit if you hit somebody in a wreck and they sued you because you tore up their car. If we don't have an address, we don't have any place to send the sheriff to give you the papers. So
Right.
as soon as you get situated, call your lawyer and call us so we'll know your address, and call your caseworker.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, stay in touch with them by phone and text or however they want to stay in touch with you. All right.
Okay.
Jeffrey and Callista, do y'all have any questions or anything you need to tell me? You keeping your schoolwork caught up? Are you good students? If they're talking, I can't hear them. They look like
They're
they're.
not. They're not talking.
Can they hear my questions?
They can hear your questions. They're just not speaking.
Okay. Are they okay?
All this is really emotional. So I
Yeah.
just think they're trying not to show their emotions right now.
All right. Well, Jeffrey and Callista, did you get your lawyer's phone number? So if you have questions, you can call her.
I didn't give them, they didn't want to, they weren't real chatty with me either, Your Honor, but I can give it to them right now. I was just going to call the aunt back and see if I could talk to him on the telephone, but
Okay.
if they want to get it right now, it's 770.
All right. Well, we'll all be back together and we'll do it on Zoom in about 2 weeks, like I said. Part of that depends on some more paperwork will be filed by the department. And that's what the sheriff will bring out to you, copies of that and a notice about when to come back to court. Okay,
Yeah.
unless y'all want, since everybody's local, if y'all want to come live to the courthouse, we can, but since we started out on Zoom, I'm fine to stay that way. Anybody have a preference?
Zoom.
Okay. All right,
Your Honor, I've got some questions for Ms. Johnson, the mother, before we conclude.
okay.
And the biological father of those children has been identified as a Jeffrey Johnston. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm
Were
going
you-
to,
Were you married to Mr. Johnson at the birth or conception of those children?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it is my understanding that Mr. Johnson is currently in prison?
Correct.
Okay, and do you know which prison Mr. Johnson is currently incarcerated at?
He is at Riverbend.
I'm sorry,
Riverbend.
Riverbend?
I believe that's. Yes, sir.
That's a prison in Georgia?
Yeah, it's Riverbend, I believe.
I don't,
It's down there. I may have the name wrong.
I don't think that's a name of a Georgia prison.
I'm not familiar with that one. Do you know what county and state, city it's located in?
He's down there, going towards Savannah. I can't remember exactly.
Matthias, Riverbend Correctional Facility is on Lang Farm Road in Milledgeville, Georgia.
In Milledgeville?
Yes,
No, I would have thought I would have heard that. I've never heard of that one.
There's a Riverbend in Tennessee.
it is in Georgia, Your Honor. It's a prison in Milledgeville, Riverbend Correctional Facility. It's privately operated, medium security.
Okay, I can look up the rest of his information on the Georgia Department of Corrections inmate lookup, Your Honor.
Okay.
That's all that I had with regards to that issue and to Ms. Johnston.
Does he have a projected parole date
Um,
that you know of?
They gave him 35 years, do 15, and when he gets out, he'll have 20 years of parole.
Okay, when did he start serving his sentence?
I believe it's been about a year and a half.
Okay, all right. Are you still married to him, or are y'all
Oh,
divorced?
no, no, sir.
When did you get divorced?
We've been divorced since 2018.
Okay. What county did you get divorced in?
Well, I believe it was Candler because it was whenever I was in treatment.
Okay. Candler is somewhere
Down
down,
towards Savannah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All righty. Anything else we need to address?
Just the issue of visitation, Your Honor. I think the department would ask that the mother be allowed to have at least reasonable supervised visitation with the children.
I don't have any problem with that. Y'all can arrange that with her situation and the kids' school schedule. And the caretaker, the aunt's schedule. Do you have transportation, Ms. Johnston?
No, sir, not at the moment.
Okay,
I have a friend that stays with me. He has a vehicle. I mean, he can take me to where they are.
okay. Are you employed currently?
No, sir, I've been applying for jobs.
Okay. Well, we'll have to work around all that, but I want you to see your kids and I want your kids to see you, okay?
Yes,
So
sir.
cooperate with Ms. Adikpo in trying to come up with some times that work for everybody.
Okay.
All right. All right, the court accepts the stipulation and finds probable cause to believe they're dependent and it can't be returned home at this time. And reasonable efforts were made to avoid removal, and they will remain in the temporary custody defects until the next hearing, which will be scheduled as soon as the department files its dependency petition.
And Your Honor, that is including the children being dependent as to the father based on his incarceration.
Yes. That's fine. You can add that. All right. Thank y'all for your time.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Judge.
We'll conclude the hearing.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.